It's DeAndre Hunter at Atlanta Hawks. You listen to the three-point conversion.
All right, we are back inside the three-point conversion sports lounge. And we have somebody in here that knows basketball. Basketball is his life. And that's my guy, the three-point conversion NBA insider who also covers the Charlotte Hornets for the three-point conversion. My man, Mr. Danny Thompson. What's going on, Danny?
Guys, it's a pleasure. I mean, didn't we just end basketball season like 71 days ago?
Was it that long, Danny? It seemed like 2 days ago.
Yeah, I know, right?
Even the players are tired. Some of them like, yeah, no, I ain't gonna play these 2 weeks, dog. I'm
Right.
Exactly.
I'm chill.
Right. So, Danny, we got you here. We have you here. We're talking Atlanta Hawks, Charlotte Hornets. First of all, it's a coincidence because these two teams are probably the young teams that everybody have their eye on. They have the most potential. But also, this happen to be the teams that the three-point conversion covers. So I guess it works out. So I first want to ask you about the Hawks. So with the new additions of the team, like, who would that help or who will it impact the most as far as the players on the team now with the Hawks?
If you look at the current roster from last year to this year, I think all the new additions, I think it helps Trae Young more than anybody else. I mean, we've all watched Trae Young since his rookie season, and we've all said if Trae Young had more around him, how good would he be? Well, Atlanta did everything they could this summer. When you bring in Bojan Bogdanovic, you bring in Danilo Gallinari, you bring in Rajon Rondo, Chris Dunn. They traded for Capella, who didn't even play last season. You bring 5 new guys in who are very solid players and even upper echelon players in the league, and you give them next to Trae and John Collins. Trae Young is going to benefit the most from this because this guy averaged 9 assists a game and still scored 30 points a game with little to no help. So now that he has a supporting cast around him, this could be an MVP type of season for Trae Young.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, even last year, it was 29-9. That's almost MVP alone, right? If he had won 50 games, it probably would have been in the MVP conversation. How will it now? Speaking of Trae Young, how will it affect him with the talent around him?
It should only elevate him. You know, the old saying goes, when you see you have good players around you, it makes you a better player. And I think Trae has been wanting to be better and better. And this young Hawks team, Cam Reddish was good last year, the last stretch of the season. We all know what John Collins is. He's a 20-10 guy. And the fact of you have Gallinari, who was brought in to come in as a sixth man, who knows his role, Bogdanovic, who's a big-time scorer, especially down the stretch of games. They add Chris Dunn for defense. Rajon Rondo is going to be a leader, and Clint Capella's the rim protector. Like, Trae Young is really – he's in a great position this year. All he has to do is just finish games out and get everybody involved, and Atlanta should be one of the 6 best teams in the Eastern Conference.
Okay. I kind of agree that, like you said, if everything works out, I don't think Trae averages 29 and 9, and he could. But
it's good if he doesn't, right?
I think 27 and maybe 9 and 10 because, he doesn't have to do all the scoring. But now let's transition to Charlotte. So we should call them the LaMelo Hornets because LaMelo has all of them.
Yeah, it's popping.
Yeah, if it's not LaMelo, they don't care. Yeah. It's like, wow, it's crazy. But either or, when do you think LaMelo Ball will start, and who benefits the most with the addition of Melo?
I'm going to say you're looking like probably, barring COVID or any type of injury, I see LaMelo Ball in the starting lineup by Valentine's Day. I don't think he starts the season. I still think he still has to learn principles, especially on defense. But if you look at his film from Australia compared to now, his defensive effort has increased at least 3 times what we saw in Australia. So I think he's still learning the game and picking up concepts. But I think barring some kind of major injury, I think we'll see LaMelo Ball probably starting around February or so, around Valentine's Day. And I think the player it benefits the most, honestly, I think it's Miles Bridges, because Charlotte really struggled in the pick and roll last year. Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier are much more scoring guards. And Miles Bridges' main asset is the ability to get to the rim, and you see how much of a high flyer he is. Go back to the first preseason game, and LaMelo Ball steps on the court, to Dennis's point. He didn't score a single point, but everybody remembers the alley-oop he threw to Miles Bridges. You go back to the game on it was Thursday night, he threw one to Miles where Miles had to catch it with his opposite hand. Miles is going to, on that second unit, thrive off of playing next to LaMelo Ball. And I think it's infectious with everybody. But if any one player does, I think it's Miles Bridges.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to come up with a name for that, Danny. It's just a question maybe you should ask.
Put that bug in there,
Yeah, they're going to come up with a name. I know Coach joked about it earlier. Like, I don't know what they call it. They probably have a name or something. But I wonder if they do have it. But
I just want to speak to the defense in Australia. I think it was I don't want to say he wasn't trying, but it was more like, I'm out here hooping. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't. And when he got to now he know he's in the league, he like, hey, I got to do better. This is the next step. And it seems like you say, he's giving more of a defensive effort and making it more of an all-around game. Now, if and when Melo gets into the starting lineup, who do you think becomes a sixth man, and do you think they can win with this roster?
You know what? I think as much as Hornets fans don't want to see it, I think Devontae Graham goes back to the six-man role, which is not a bad thing. I prefer Devontae as a six-man type of role, a much more of Isaiah Thomas in Sacramento type of role, even Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams type of role, where he's playing 30 minutes a night, but he's playing at second units, and he's able to shoot as much as he wants and close his games out. The Hornets can win with the roster. Now, can they win the Eastern Conference? They don't have that guy just yet. But can they compete? Yes. Can they get into the top 10? Definitely. I think that when Graham goes back to that position, because Terry Rozier is their best perimeter on-ball defender. He's their best catch-and-shoot guy. And you need catch-and-shoot guys when you have LaMelo Ball, you have Gordon Hayward. And Rozier was one of the best. I think he's one of the top 15 in the NBA percentage-wise in catch-and-shoot last year.
So let me double back on that a little bit. Let's say they hadn't got Gordon Hayward. Do you think that three-guard starting lineup would have been able to work?
Well, we saw the three-guard lineup in Oklahoma City work effectively with Chris Paul, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Dennis Schroeder. That lineup worked. So I think in the case of James Borrego, Coach Borrego, who is running a much more of a positionless basketball, we see P.J. Washington at the 5. He wants to play up and down tempo. He wants to run up and down. So it would have worked with the three guards because it's positionless. So if Melo is running the break, Graham, who was, I think, top 5 in the NBA three-pointers made last season, Rozier, who's a catch-and-shoot expert, with LaMelo Ball driving and kicking, it would have worked just fine. It just would have been the defensive side of the ball, which would have been the question.
All right, so close with this. Well, I guess you kind of answered it with that last question. I was going to ask you. So I'll rephrase it. I know you feel Atlanta has a chance to make the playoffs. Can you see Charlotte sneaking in?
I see Charlotte getting into the play-in games, and at that point, guys, it's one and done. It's NCAA tournament style. It's one game. If Charlotte gets that 9-10 game, listen, they have a chance just as much as anybody to win that game. And then all you got to do is win the second game. Is Charlotte one of the top 8 teams? I don't think so, barring COVID or an injury happening. I don't see Charlotte in the top 8, but I definitely see them getting that national TV game in the play-in game. And when you get to the play-in game, anything goes.
Now, would you just a little step on it? Experience more gives the Hawks a little bit more, you'd say, play into the playoffs?
I think when you add guys like Rajon Rondo, who just won a championship, and don't forget the addition of Nate McMillan on the sideline. That's something a lot of people don't talk about. Adding Nate McMillan, a coach that's been to the playoffs every single year. Now, don't ask him for playoff advice, but you ask a guy who's been to the playoffs almost every year, and he was in Indiana. And I think that's an underrated addition to the roster. Gallinari's been in the playoffs. They added guys who've been in the playoffs. So I think adding those types of players will help Atlanta, especially in the experience department. But like I said, I think Atlanta's talent should definitely get them at least between 7 and 10. I wouldn't be surprised if they're 6.
All right. We definitely appreciate it, Danny, for coming on, man. We definitely got to have you back to talk basketball also, and then give us our report on the Hornets and even the Hawks. We appreciate it, man. Have a great and safe day and a healthy day. And,
yes, sir. Appreciate it, guys. Happy holidays.
Happy